If you have poor circulation, let me guess what you've already done. You've tried supplement after supplement, capsules, powders, blends with long fancy names. And after weeks or months, nothing changed. Your legs are still heavy. Your feet are still cold. Your circulation still feels slow and stubborn. Here's the hard truth most people never hear. The supplement industry is flooded with useless pills. Cheap, low-dose blends designed to look impressive on the label, but do absolutely nothing inside your blood vessels. And the reason they fail is simple. Your body does not yet quite need 20 different vitamins for circulation. It only needs 3 very specific compounds in specific forms, at specific doses. That's it. Everything else is noise. And right now, your legs are begging for these 3. So today, I'm cutting through the confusion. No hype, no gimmicks, no endless lists. I'm giving you the only 3 vitamins that actually work for dramatically improving leg circulation. I'll tell you the exact form, the exact dosage, and the exact timing that makes them work. And stay with me until the end, because vitamin number 3 is a game changer. But only if you take it at a very specific time of day. Miss that detail and it simply will not work. Let's start with the foundation. Nari, vitamin number 1, niacin, vitamin B3. The cleanup crew. This is vitamin number 1, and I call it the cleanup crew. Why? Because it attacks the 2 biggest enemies of poor circulation: narrowed blood vessels and thick, sluggish blood. When your vessels constrict and your blood becomes sticky, circulation slows to a crawl. Your feet get cold, your legs feel heavy, and blood trickles instead of flowing. Niacin goes straight to the source. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They take the course. Wrong form. The only form that works. The key compound here is niacin, also known as vitamin B3. Forget the tiny amounts you see in standard multivitamins. Those doses are useless for circulation. You need a therapeutic dose. And you must use the flushing form of niacin, also called nicotinic acid. This is where the magic happens. You may have heard people complain about the flush, the warmth, the redness, the tingling. That flush is not a side effect. It is the signal that niacin is rapidly opening tiny blood vessels and capillaries throughout your body. Avoid non-flushing versions like inositol hexanoconate. They are popular because they feel comfortable, but they do not produce the same powerful vessel opening effect. If you want dramatic circulation improvement, you must accept the flush. The correct dosage. This compound demands respect. Start low, begin with 250 milligrams. Taken once daily with a meal. After 2 weeks, if you tolerate the flush well, meaning you don't mind temporary warmth and redness, you may increase to 500 milligrams once daily. For many people, this is the optimal dose for circulation support. Never increase the dose without speaking to your physician, especially if you have liver concerns or take prescription medications. What the flush feels like. The flush usually appears across the face, neck, and chest. It feels warm, sometimes itchy, and it typically lasts 15 to 30 minutes. Here's an important tip. Consistency trains your body. After a few weeks, most people notice the flush becomes much milder or nearly disappears. Dear, why niacin works so powerfully. Niacin works through 2 critical mechanisms. First, natural vasodilation. Niacin causes blood vessels to relax and widen. This turns narrow pathways into wide-open highways. Blood moves faster with less resistance. That's how oxygen finally reaches your legs and feet. Second, it reduces sticky blood. Niacin improves blood flow by making the blood less viscous. Less thickness means less resistance. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard. Blood glides instead of grinding. This combination is why niacin is so effective for heavy, tired legs. Transition. So remember this, Clank. Niacin B3 is the cleanup crew. It widens the pipes and makes blood flow easier. Use the flushing form. Start at 250 milligrams. Work up to 500 if tolerated. But even wide, clean pipes can still fail if they become stiff and brittle. That brings us to the next critical piece, vitamin number 2, the flexibility fixer. Vitamin K2 MK7, the flexibility fixer. We've cleaned the pipes. Now we have to make sure they don't turn into concrete. Because here's a brutal reality most people don't understand. You can widen your blood vessels all you want, but if those vessels are stiff, brittle, and calcified, blood still won't flow properly. This is where most circulation plans completely fail. And this is why vitamin number 2 is absolutely critical. To the problem nobody talks about, vessel stiffness. Think about a brand new rubber hose. It bends easily, it handles pressure changes, water flows smoothly. Now imagine an old plastic pipe. Hard, brittle, cracked, restricted. That is exactly what happens to blood vessels with age, poor diet, and chronic inflammation. Calcium starts settling where it doesn't belong, inside the walls of your arteries. When that happens, circulation suffers no matter how strong your heart is. This condition is called arterial stiffness. And it is one of the biggest hidden causes of poor leg circulation. Why vitamin K1 is not enough. This part is crucial. Many people think they're covered because they eat leafy greens or take vitamin K1. That is a mistake. Vitamin K1 helps blood clot. It does not fix stiff arteries. You need vitamin K2, and more specifically, the MK7 form. The only form that works you must look for. Vitamin K2, MK7. This form matters because it stays active in your bloodstream for many hours, quietly doing its job all day long. Other forms clear too quickly to be effective. The correct dosage range is 100 to 300 micrograms per day. Micrograms, not milligrams. This is a tiny dose, but extremely powerful. Always take it with a meal that contains healthy fat. Vitamin K2 is fat-soluble and absorbs much better this way. The calcium traffic cop mechanism. Here's why vitamin K2 is so powerful. Your body uses calcium everywhere, bones, teeth, muscles. But calcium becomes dangerous when it ends up in soft tissues like artery walls. Vitamin K2 activates a special protein called matrix GLA protein. Think of this protein as a microscopic cleanup crew. Once activated, it hunts down calcium trapped in your blood vessel walls, binds to it, and removes it. That calcium is then redirected back to where it belongs, your bones. The result? Your arteries become softer, more flexible, more responsive. And flexible arteries mean better circulation, especially to your legs and feet. What this means for your legs. When vessels regain flexibility, blood pressure inside the vessel stabilizes, flow becomes smoother, gravity becomes less of an enemy. This is when people notice less heaviness in the legs, better color in the skin, more consistent warmth in the feet. But flexibility alone isn't enough. You still need the signal that tells vessels when to open. And that brings us to the most misunderstood vitamin of all. Transition to vitamin number 3. So remember this. Vitamin K2, MK7 is the flexibility fixer. It removes hardening calcium and restores youthful vessel elasticity. Dose 100 to 300 micrograms daily with food. Now comes the final piece. The command signal, the molecule that tells blood vessels to relax instantly. Vitamin number 3. The opening signal. Vitamin C. The opening signal. So far, we've done two critical things. We widened the pipes. We made them flexible again. But none of that matters if your body doesn't know to open those vessels. That decision is controlled by one powerful internal signal. And without vitamin C, that signal simply doesn't work. The real job of vitamin C, not what you think. Most people think vitamin C is only for immunity. That's a massive misunderstanding. Vitamin C is one of the most important nutrients for your blood vessel lining. Yours is called the endothelium. This lining controls whether your vessels relax or stay tight, and it does that through one molecule, nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, the master relaxer. Nitric oxide is your body's natural vessel relaxer. It tells the muscular walls of your arteries to soften and open. More nitric oxide means better blood flow, less resistance, more oxygen reaching your legs and feet. But here's the problem. As we age, nitric oxide production drops sharply. And without enough vitamin C, your body cannot make or protect it. That's why circulation gets worse even when people eat healthy. Why the form of vitamin C matters. At high doses, regular ascorbic acid can irritate the stomach. That's why form matters. The two best options are buffered vitamin C or liposomal vitamin C. Buffered vitamin C is gentler because it's combined with minerals. Liposomal vitamin C is wrapped in tiny fat particles, making it much easier to absorb and much easier on digestion. For circulation support, liposomal is the gold standard. The correct dosage. You need a meaningful dose, not the tiny amounts in multivitamins. The effective range is 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day. This level ensures enough vitamin C is circulating to fuel nitric oxide production throughout your vascular system. The critical timing rule. Do not miss this. This is the detail that determines whether vitamin C helps or does nothing. You must take vitamin C in the morning and early afternoon only. Never at night. Here's why. First, vitamin C can be mildly stimulating in higher doses. Taking it late can interfere with sleep. Second, your circulation needs nitric oxide the most during the day, when you're standing, walking, and using your legs. That's when blood has to fight gravity, so the rule is simple. 1,000 milligrams with breakfast, optional second dose with lunch or early afternoon, avoid after 5 in the evening. This timing alone dramatically improves results. Why this completes the system. Now think about what we've built. Niacin opened the vessels and improved blood flow texture. Vitamin K. 2 restored flexibility and removed stiffness. Vitamin C fuels nitric oxide, telling vessels to relax when needed. This is not random supplementation. This is a coordinated vascular system. That's why people feel real changes instead of disappointment. Realistic expectations, what to notice. First week, you mainly notice the niacin flush, maybe warmth in hands and feet. Weeks 2 to 6, legs feel lighter, less end-of-day heaviness, better skin color and warmth. 3 months and beyond, circulation becomes stable, less dependency on constant movement, better tolerance to cold, more endurance when walking. This is where vitamin K2 shows its long-term power. Dracker safety reminders, very important. Niacin, high doses can interact with medications. Always speak to your doctor if you have liver issues or take cholesterol or blood pressure medication, vitamin K2. If you take blood thinners, you must consult your doctor before using it. Vitamin C, very safe overall. Buffered or liposomal forms prevent digestive discomfort. Final summary, the circulation trinity. Here is the complete system. Niacin. B3, flushing form. The cleanup crew, 250 to 500 milligrams daily. Vitamin K2, MK7. The flexibility fixer, 100 to 300 micrograms daily with food. Vitamin C, buffered or liposomal. The opening signal, 1 to 2,000 milligrams daily before evening. No fluff, no wasted money, no useless blends, just targeted support for better blood flow. Closing retention hook. Now here's the question most people don't ask. What if the foods you eat every day are silently blocking nitric oxide and undoing all this work? In the next video, I'll show you 3 common foods that stiffen arteries faster than aging itself, and what to replace them with. That's where long-term circulation protection really begins. Stay with me.